You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
It's Monday, July 16th, 2012, and you're listening to Warren in Georgia on iCannabis Radio. Tonight we have not one but two producers, with Cristiano Rosales in the house and our special birthday boy producer, Kristen Custer.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Definitely. We won't ask any more questions.
34. He's 34.
Okay.
Or
Georgia
24.
Right, but don't do that to her or she will friggin' kill you.
I think he's 27. 36?
Whatever.
He's 36.
She thinks she's funny. But before we get to the news, we will be later hearing from NORML board chairman Paul Kuhn, who's also a fabulous attorney from Tennessee. And we will also have our great monthly feature with Greg Daurere, where tonight he will be talking about the connection between jazz and cannabis and Denver. But first, the news. Tonight, basically all this news sucks. And so we'll start off with the worst news. And that's that iCannabis Radio and Georgia and Warren here would like to offer condolences to the family of Judge Gustin Reichbach. He's a 64-year-old New York State Supreme Court justice who passed away last Saturday, July 14th, at his home in Brooklyn. Judge Reichenbach was one of the few judges nationally who spoke out in favor of medical marijuana, and that's just a shame because he died at the young age of 65.
And he was very open about the fact that he was a medical marijuana patient and sitting on the bench. And just about a month or so ago, he wrote a beautiful, wonderful letter about what it was like to be a patient and how being a patient was so important to him and helped him with his fight with cancer. And he was hoping it would open the eyes of other lawmakers. And
just so, again, that just sucks. So we send out our condolences from the whole iCannabis Radio staff and thank him for being so outspoken.
Yes.
In more crappy news, you heard us a few weeks ago speak with attorney Mark Sisti from New Hampshire and talking about how New Hampshire had passed a medical marijuana bill through the House and Senate, but it was facing the governor. And as expected, unfortunately, the governor vetoed that bill and it died for 2012.
They were hoping that they would get enough to override the veto, enough Senate votes to override the veto, and they lacked it by two.
So close, but not there. I mean, the good news is, well, it's mixed news. I mean, we have medical marijuana in Maine. We have a system developing in Vermont where, one center will open up, and there actually is a dispensary. So one dispensary will open up in August here, is my understanding, with 3 more to follow suit before the first of the year. And we have seen a weird kind of medical marijuana system in Connecticut. It's going to be on the ballot in Massachusetts. We now have Rhode Island medical marijuana finally coming to fruition, as well as in New Jersey. So things are at least happening on the East Coast, and hopefully that'll continue on down the coast, because we have to try to give you some good news.
Where was I'm sorry, was it all the other states that
it's
have
spreading? Some of it's a little pathetic, but it's spreading.
Gotcha. Good silver lining, babe.
Now, in our final piece of crappy news, we've been talking here endlessly on all the shows about the federal letters and whether the California version of the federal letters that have focused on schools and playgrounds with more than 2 children's apparatus, or the Colorado version of the federal letters, which have focused primarily on schools, but adding the unique twist of universities and colleges. We had another...
Where adults attend.
Yep, and, because we have to save the children. But
even if they're 18 to 23.
We had another bad twist occur since you heard from us last. And that's that, as many of you heard, Harborside got a letter from the federal government giving them 40 days to close up shop. Now, the part that makes this completely different is there are no schools near Harborside. There's a harbor. And there's
and they're beside it, from what I understand.
No daycares, and there's no playgrounds, and there's no apparatus, and there's a highway, and there's some other industrial buildings, and there's some closed buildings, and they provide a service to 50,000 plus patients, and they are being closed because they're too big. And that's in a really weird system, which is Oakland, which has a limited number of licenses allowed, 4, soon to be expanding to 8. And I don't know where anybody expects the patients to go, because if they go somewhere, then I guess those patient places will be too big.
Right.
And then they'll get a letter. So it'll kind of just squish around, or it'll be all like even out, you know?
It'll squish around.
Well, patients are going to move around. They're going to go somewhere else, and then that place will get a letter. And then they'll go somewhere else, and that place will get a letter. So I guess eventually, you know, a few will go there, and 5,000 will go there. And on top of that, as we announced when we talked to Bill, you know, the vapor room's closing. One of the most well-planned and well-received in the community cooperatives there is closing in just a couple of weeks here.
Well, and
Wow.
you know, it's so interesting to me. There was an interview with Steve D'Angelo, who is he and his brother run. I think he's the executive director of Harborside, because it's a nonprofit model, and really it is about being too large. And so their landlord got a letter saying there's an illegal business in their property, and you risk forfeiture if you allow this business to continue. So Harborside's attorneys are meeting with the attorneys from the landlord to determine what they're going to do. But in all honesty, I mean, there's not a lot of options. There's not a lot of options.
Well, it's illegal federally. So, I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't move, they can take the property and they can charge the people involved. And the person's defense basically boils down to nothing, because the feds don't allow you to mention medical marijuana. So it is just marijuana. And, you know, there are a few issues that have yet to be argued here and there, but they're getting far and few between as different courts weigh in on the different nuances. And there's yet to be a victory for the state's rights side on this issue.
Well, and it's a shame, because one of the things that was mentioned was, you know, all of the things about a drug-free school zone, which are the parks and the schools and those kinds of things. So that's where those letters derive from. And then the federal government says, you know, what we're going to do is we are going to stay away from those places that are following state's law, unless they get too big. And unless they're doing too much, unless they're paying too many taxes, unless they're helping a dying community, then we're going to screw them to the wall. And one of the things that they also said is, you know, one of the things that was problematic was the idea of going on television. And so Stevie D was asked specifically, what do you think about your role in going on television, and how this may have affected your getting a letter? And essentially he said, you know, and I really liked his answers. After the show Weed Wars, which was on National Geographic, I'm sorry, Discovery Channel, and it was...
Wait, what show's on National Geographic?
Oh, that would be American Weed.
Okay, that's it. Okay, never mind.
And
who's on American Weed?
that would be the Stanley Brothers.
The Stanley Brothers.
57 of them.
The ones that are on iCannabis Radio on Tuesday nights.
Okay.
That would be them.
And what time's that show?
Okay.
And it also had Brittany Wagner, who's on iDab Radio on Wednesday nights.
That's right. See? We're all over the place.
We got all sorts of hosts on it. And what the heck are they talking about?
Well, they on this week they're going to have
82 people.
They are.
Rob Corey is stopping in to co-host. Dennis Perrone is going to talk about his efforts and discuss Peter's story. Lisa Kappelman comes in to discuss the details of her trial. There'll be Science Corner with Jennifer Murray, Chris Stubbs, and Dr. Shack answering all your questions and talking about the future of medicine. And if they have time, which they never do, they'll try to take some calls. But that's the Stanley Brothers for tomorrow night. Their show. But anyway, what were you talking about? Weed Wars, which was on Discovery.
So really quick, he said, Stevie D said that after the shows aired, they got this big burst of senior citizens who came to their cooperative because they had never really realized what it would be like and how it could benefit them, and so he really saw the show as an outreach. And so it was just
those old people gaming the system.
They are gaming the system, yes.
But we'll talk about more of that later.
5 minutes. So it was just a shame. It was just kind of a shame that that Harborside would be targeted because they're doing so much good.
It does. Hey, so
and
what?
you know what else? They're the second largest tax revenue base in Oakland.
In Oakland, yep. And they're going to be gone. And they employ more than 100 people.
Wow.
They're all going to be out of a job.
Dang.
That's a lot of people. And they also rent a piece of real estate that is essentially just a big old freaking warehouse.
Off the highway. August 11th.
The clinic
What's
golf
happening?
tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the poster so we can read from it?
There's a poster out
we have an ad too that plays every single show.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be coming up because we're going to talk more about that later. And we'll have all your favorite iCannabis radio folks hopefully out there, at least the ones that remember to show up, and then a handful of us who are actually going to badly swing clubs. And it ought to be a lot of fun because it's the 3rd annual Golf Charity Classic. So I'm going to steal Ryan's thunder because everybody listens to him too much.
The clinic raises a lot of money for multiple sclerosis research every single year, and this is yet another opportunity for them to do that.
Saturday, August. I have to read it first, then you can show people. Saturday, August 11th, City Park Golf Course, 2500 York Street, Denver, Colorado. There's contest, prizes, food and drinks, barbecue.
What are the contests?
I don't know. Last year, they had a special blown glass putter that was also a pipe.
Really?
And I know that they had like a putting contest for that last year.
I hear they're going to put a nail on it this year.
And not that
Dabarama.
For those who aren't living in Dabland, which is Colorado, California, Washington, and Oregon, apparently, that's a type of way to ingest hash, a high concentrate hash. But we'll see because, the clinic endlessly wins awards for their various forms of BHO. So anyway, it's going to be a great event. Hope to see people show up. Get in touch with the clinic for more information and how to register, both as a single player or to have a foursome at the event. Isn't one of the prizes a trip to Hawaii?
Something like that.
I'm
I think
serious.
I already won it. No one bothered participate at all. I'm already there.
Yeah.
So
and so check it out. It's going to be a heck of a time, and that should be a lot of fun.
So, as usual, we have to spend a little time paying some bills. But last week, our friend Jerry from Medical Marijuana of the Rockies was here, and it was great to see him. And Chris, what?
No, never mind.
Chris Custer was up in the mountains and wanted to stop by and visit, and just didn't, unfortunately, have the time or wherewithal to get out there to him. But
right.
Medical Marijuana of the Rockies has been one of our sponsors since the beginning. They're located in Frisco off of exit 203, right behind the Big O Tires. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is your mountain source for meds. They have some of the best immature plants in the state. You can get on their website, mmrockies.com. That's mmrockies.com, to see their ever-changing strain selection as well as the clones that they have available. They are great folks. Don't forget to tell Aaron and Jerry that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio and that Warren and Georgia said you've got to go. Go visit mmrockies.com, and we'll be back in a flash on iCannabis Radio.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
The Clinic is proud to announce the 3rd annual Clinic Charity Classic Golf Tournament benefiting the Colorado MS Society. The tournament will be held at City Park Golf Course this coming August 11th. There will be some incredible prizes, including an opportunity to win a trip for 2 to Hawaii. The trip includes airfare, 8 days, 7 nights at the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua, including 4 rounds of golf and $1,500 spending cash. Thanks to the incredible support of Weed Maps, Hetty Glass, Rocky Mountain Hydro, T. Meyer & Stitch, Dixie Elixir, and MMJprinting.com, we're able to provide awareness to this incredibly difficult condition that so many Coloradans are suffering from. The event will be covered extensively by our favorite industry media outlets, Culture Magazine, The Hemp Connoisseur, Kush Magazine, and of course the amazing people at iCannabis Radio. Please register at thecliniccolorado.com or at any of our 6 convenient locations throughout the Denver metro area.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Hi. Welcome back.
Hey.
I got that whole cue thing and then got so excited about Gary Johnson that that was it.
Well, and that answered our question, our own ad, Jesus Christ. But our ad told us that there is a vacation to Hawaii that is just sick. 8 days, airfare, Ritz-Carlton, is that what it said? And then you get $1,500 cash? Man.
Yep.
You better play, baby. You better play.
Well, no, we need to
Chris, are you a
convince
ringer?
Drew that you and I are included on, and it'll be 4 instead of 2.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. That sounds good. So
If you annoy him enough, he'll do it.
we are going to go ahead and call our next guest, Paul Kuhn from Tennessee. He is an attorney, and he is also the current board chair of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. And we are going to talk to him about past, current, and future NORML. Is our
And a
plan.
generous person and donates to a lot of great causes.
Paul Kuhn.
Hi, Paul. You are live on iCannabis Radio
Hello.
with Georgia and Warren. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. You're live on the air. How are you?
I'm good. Is this Georgia?
Yes. Are we having
Hello,
some?
Georgia. Nice to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. Well, thank you so much. We are so pleased to have you on. We understand that weren't you just on Russ's show an hour or so ago? Oh, we might be having some
Have we lost him?
phone issues.
Paul, are you there? Geez, we even have 2 producers.
Should we
Too much birthday
hang up
partying.
and try him again?
He's coming in and out, though, I think.
I don't hear him at all. Let's
hang up.
Yeah,
and
let's try him again. Let's try him again. We had a little Skype faux pas, which happens every once in a while. But yeah, you're right. Paul has donated to lots of charities and is he's just a good Southern gentleman. I enjoy Paul.
And when we were talking about legalization attempts in Tennessee this year, he's a great source of information. And I know did a lot of work lobbying, unofficially lobbying, a lot of the legislators and senators, letting them know how this should be written and correcting some of the language that some of the errors in the language, like prescription and things like that.
Absolutely. And those minor details make a big deal. It's hard to undo them later on. Are we Skyping?
Yeah. Hold on a second. I don't know why we can't hear him.
Well, this is a disappointment.
Yeah. Did you try hanging up and reconnecting, and he got him, and he still can't hear him?
It says he's there. I can't even hear it ringing. So.
No, I didn't hear it ring either.
The volume's up on it. So.
Well, let's bring in Mr. Daurere and at least start his segment of the show and see if these guys can figure it out. So I'll go get Dreg.
Yeah. That sounds like a good plan. Unfortunately, maybe we'll see if Paul is able to come in a little bit at the end if we can't get him again right now. Paul was just on the Russ Belville show on Russ's new network just this past hour. And so you can hear an interview with Russ and Paul Kuhn, as well as hopefully we'll be able to try one more time to be able to get him to come in. What a bummer. What a bummer. But we do have our monthly feature with Greg Daurere, who always gives us a great history lesson. And today we're going to talk a little bit about jazz and cannabis. Whoever thought that would be a match? That's new and different, right? A little sarcasm there. So are we done trying to reach Paul? Do you think it's possible?
Right now.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead. Greg's welcome.
Well, hi. How are you doing tonight, Georgia?
Good, thank you.
Good. Well, yes. A marriage made in someone's heaven. Jazz and weed history. This book that I'm holding in my hand, it's called Really the Blues. And it was written by a gentleman named Milton Mesro. And Milton Mesro wrote what's been described as one of the first countercultural looks at American history. And he grew up in Chicago. He was a reform school kid as well. And in reform school, he was a young Jewish kid. He was drawn towards African American culture that was being expressed in jazz. And not just jazz, but the whole spirit of the people around him he met who were African Americans. So
that's some good music.
Oh, are you listening to some of it? Which one are you listening to?
Really the Blues.
Oh, Really the Blues. That's the name of this book, and it was a song that he wrote, and one of his favorite performers appears with him on it, a fellow who was a clarinetist named Sidney Bechet. And what Mesro was a proponent of New Orleans-style Dixieland jazz, which even by the early 30s was going out of fashion. There were other musics appearing in jazz that some people considered more sophisticated, but Mez and bigger, the big bands were coming onto the scene. But Mez loved the New Orleans style jazz, and he not only loved New Orleans style jazz, he loved weed. And that's why we mention him, because Really the Blues is really one of the first countercultural discussions of marijuana that took place, and some of the beats read it. It came out in like 1946. And Mez wrote about his first experience smoking marijuana, and then going immediately afterwards right back on the bandstand. He said there wasn't any struggle. It was all made to order, and suddenly there wasn't a sour note or a discord in the world that could bother me. I began to feel very happy and sure of myself. With my loaded horn, I could take all the fist-swinging evil things in the world and bring them together in perfect harmony, spreading peace and joy and relaxation to all the keyed up and punchy people everywhere. I began to preach my millenniums on my horn, leading all the sinners on to glory.
You know what? We're gonna do this awkward thing, Greg. Let's do that while he's trying to call us.
I'll hang out
Yeah,
here.
why don't you hang out with us? That would be awesome. And we'll try to get Paul back now that we can figure out how to do that. I apologize. And
that's okay.
And yeah, it'll give people a little teaser for what's going to happen at the end of the show. It's about to ring. I can tell. That's the funky noise, the drip drop noise it makes before it rings. And there we go.
Georgia.
I'm so sorry, Paul. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Good to be back. Good to hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on iCannabis Radio this evening. I was just telling folks that it sounds like, wasn't tonight the night that you were on the Russ Belville show as well?
No, I was not.
Oh.
I didn't cross wires with Russ, but I'm glad to be on your show.
Well, excellent. Please tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you came to be the current board chair of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws.
Okay, I have been involved with NORML for 41 years, I guess, and have been a fan of marijuana for 42 years. Unlike a lot of folks, I never encountered it in college. But a couple years later in the Navy was my first exposure, and I actually wrote the dissenting opinion on a trial because I thought that somebody apprehended with marijuana on the ship did not get a severe enough penalty. And then a year or two later, I was in business school at Indiana University, encountered it, was surprised that so many were smoking, and went to the library and checked out all the books, and they said, well, essentially it's a pretty benign substance. So next time somebody offered me a hit, I took it, and among my first thoughts were, this is illegal.
Right.
I'm going to do something to try to change the law. And so for 41 years, we've been trying to change the law. It's still illegal, but we're making great progress, especially in Colorado this year.
Well, and you got pretty close in Tennessee, Paul. I know that we were reporting and picked up a couple articles through your Facebook posts and stuff that there was actually some movement there.
There was. I think we got farther than folks expected. We still have a lot of a distance to cover, but they know we're going to be back every year. And I just had a little fundraiser for the principal sponsor of our medical bill in Tennessee, and she said a majority of the members of the General Assembly here in Tennessee privately told her they know somebody, they have somebody in their family, they've got a friend who's been helped by medical marijuana, but they just can't vote for it yet. So we keep coming back, and you keep making progress, and we'll get it.
Good for you. So I want to talk a little bit about just kind of the weirdness. You know, Warren and I have been NORML supporters for years and years. Not for 41 years, but I hope to be able to say that that I'm a marijuana legalization advocate for 41 years at some point, because that's incredible. And this year has just been weird, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that and about your perspective on that. And take a stroll down not so pleasant memory lane. April of 2011, Denver had the greatest party I've ever attended in my entire life at the National NORML Conference that was hosted here in Denver. It was a wonderful event. We all had, an incredible educational experience and social experience and all those kinds of things. I mean, it was just, I liked it. I thought it was great. And then in the fall, in October, as you know, Alan St. Pierre, backed by Keith Straup, said some things that that a lot of us took offense to. Comparing the legal sellers of marijuana with the legal sellers of alcohol during alcohol prohibition, calling the medical cannabis industry a sham, saying that medical marijuana patients are, quote, largely gaming the system. I mean, some of those kinds of things that were shocking to me as a person who's been a NORML representative for years, as my husband has been a NORML representative for years. A couple months later, the Mile High chapter of NORML closes. Month after that, Norm Kent writes an article called Why Blame NORML and focuses on California. Excuse me. And then in this past April, Keith Strop and Russ Belville come to the Denver Cannabis Cup, and they talk about the Box Canyon theory, and talk about how medical marijuana in Colorado is profit-driven, hurts legalization, ignoring the fact that we regularly have ounces for $175, ignoring Amendment 64. Then in May of 2012, the NORML network shuts down. And then in, excuse me, I have such a tickle in my throat. In June of this year, NORML comes to Aspen for their annual legal conference, kind of despite all of this. And so it's just been such a weird, unusual experience, and has been a divisive year. And I just want to get your thoughts and opinions as someone who is very level-headed and very, has a very calming influence. What are some of your thoughts about how this past year has played out?
Well, first, I'd say, Georgia, that like a lot of individuals and like the politicians I was mentioning a minute ago, I've seen marijuana work as medicine when nothing else did. My late wife died of cancer, and the legal drugs they gave her did not stop the nausea, and marijuana worked perfectly. Yeah. So I've been a big supporter. Of course, NORML has been a big supporter of medical marijuana going back to the very first days when we filed that suit against the DEA to get it out of Schedule 1, a suit that really in one form or another continues today after almost 40 years. And we sponsored or supported and endorsed, I think, every medical marijuana initiative. Oh, and by the way, I'm glad you had a great time at the conference in Denver.
Thanks.
Last year. That was great. It was a wonderful event, and I'm looking forward to Los Angeles, and I hope your listeners will consider journeying out to Los Angeles in early October for the 42nd, I think it is, annual NORML conference. I think I've attended 41 out of the 42. In terms of the...
And Paul, hate to interrupt you, but I'm assuming they can go to norml.org, and there's a thing on the right-hand side they can click on to get the information about
thank
how
you.
to register
Yes.
in the page.
With all the details. Thanks very much. As far as what's gone on the last, 9 or 10 months, Georgia, I'm sick about it. I think a good deal of it is misunderstanding and statements taken out of context, but statements that weren't very carefully worded and that had created a division that I don't think really is there. NORML supports medical marijuana, period, and we support legalization. And we've had, there are conversations about, and discussions and debate about whether the medical at some point becomes a roadblock or a hurdle for, at least temporarily, for reaching legalization, which is our ultimate goal. I think we all agree that legalization is where we want to be, because with legalization, individuals can have marijuana whether they need it for medical purposes or whether they just enjoy it. So ultimately we want legalization, and we're somewhat concerned that each medical bill, or most of the medical bills, there's a trend to making them more and more restrictive. So you have medical marijuana, but it only applies to certain conditions, and it doesn't really help all the patients. So it's a very complex issue. My own feeling is, and think medical really helps advance legalization because of all the characteristics or the factors that lead an individual to support legalization. I think the one that it has the most influence over is you see most of the time is if somebody knows someone who is a patient.
That's right.
And is using medical marijuana, they're much more likely to support legalization. So it's complicated. There's no doubt that in some places, I think not so much in Colorado, but in California where the laws are much more vague, there are individuals who are in the medical marijuana industry for compassion. Valerie Carell, for example, who is, in my view, just a saint. But even Valerie has said there is just too much profiteering, and I'm a capitalist. I love profiteering, or profit-making, rather. But there's no doubt a lot of individuals have gotten into the industry just to make a buck. And that's not necessarily wrong, but it does, I think, kind of taint those who are in it just for compassionate purposes. So it's an issue that there are just going to be some disagreements and discussions and debates on, and I hope nobody doubts that NORML, and I think everybody at NORML, including Alan and Keith, support medical, but they're all, and they've made some statements that have just been, again, taken out of context, but could have been more carefully worded.
Well, even in context, I mean, having been part of those conversations, I mean, in context, I think that you, in this conversation, sound so much, again, more level-headed in terms of the ability to understand how, as you said, medical really helps legalization. Colorado is a prime example.
Yeah.
We have Amendment 64 on the ballot already.
Yeah.
This is the state that is arguably the strongest medical state. I mean, even California can't compare to our regulated system, and so I think this is really a clear example of where the idea of a very strong medical state where rules and regulations were put in place and are being clearly followed, has allowed people who don't have a relationship with cannabis, don't care one way or the other, as well as those folks who have previously had negative feelings about cannabis, to see that the world does not come to an end when you can freely purchase marijuana in a retail establishment.
For half the black market price.
Yeah, and that's the other. I mean, I just have to say that as someone who works in the industry, the idea of someone saying that the profiteering part. I mean, I would love to see the financials, the P&Ls, and the financials for all of these companies that are making a ton of money, because they're few and far between. I mean, when you're talking about thousands of dollars in licensing fees, who's making great money are our municipalities in our state. And in an economy like this, I'm happy to make sure that our municipalities in our states are able to do things like fix schools and build roads and those kinds of things. But there just aren't a ton of industry people who are making a ton of money. So having said that, I'm curious about the current stance, NORML's current stance on the MMJ industry. Having said kind of what was said off the cuff before, and
officially in April, because there was an hour-long presentation on this.
So what would you say, Paul, is NORML's feeling about the medical marijuana industry?
When Alan or Russ come out to speak, they're really speaking as individuals and not as the organization. As an organization, we support medical marijuana, period. I think as an organization, and I know as individuals, we are concerned that some of the practices, and I think this is much less the case in Colorado, and unfortunately much more the case in California, where the industry just doesn't have the regulations, and it's kind of, out of control. There are definitely people making big bucks. I forget what Harborside had in terms of revenue, but it was $20 million a year. I mean, it's enormous, and it's built up as strictly for-profit enterprise, and
not for profit. It's a not for
no,
profit.
They are not.
Sorry. No, they're not.
Profit. Paul's right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For profit, and you've seen some of the salaries, no doubt. $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 a year salaries, and again, in a capitalistic system, that's not necessarily bad, but when you have the hat on that we're just doing this for compassion and it's medicine, and then you have salaries that are, these are the exceptions, but this, of course, what gets the media attention.
Right.
You have salaries hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then you have, people standing in front of the dispensary with these twirling signs and girls in hot pants, and those don't help the cause. And I'm sure that's what Alan and Keith were referring to, sort of the bad actors, and then I think there's a legitimate concern, but I think this is fading because, as you said, Georgia, as states and become more familiar with medical marijuana, I think some of this fades. But there was certainly an earlier concern that the opponents of marijuana would say, at least in some states, okay, we've given you medical marijuana, maybe with restrictions and cost and all this rigmarole you have to jump through, but the patients have it, so now we're going to have the resources to really crack down on the drug addicts who, need pot to whatever, and they come down harder on the recreational smokers. And I think that fear is fading, but there was a concern at one point. And, I mean, you and I know, we all know that the laws are just horrible. I mean, long sentences for violent offenders, and conspiracy charges, and mandatory minimum sentences, and
ridiculous.
I'll give Alan
absolutely ridiculous.
A lot credit. He gets, I think, 1,200 emails a day, and too many of them have just heartbreaking stories. Sometimes it's a medical patient, sometimes it's just a recreational user who's caught up in that criminal justice system and loses their job, loses their house, have their children taken away from them. So they're horrible, abominable laws, and wherever we can step forward and change them, whether it's on the medical or the legalization, I want to do it. But there's no doubt medical is the first step and can lead to full legalization, and then everybody's got what we want in terms of having an alternative, as you say, in Colorado, and a safer alternative to alcohol and tobacco.
Well, Paul, we really wish that NORML had been clearer about making that distinction between their criticism of California and Colorado. Because, while you say that Alan and Keith...
I do too.
Well, while you say those
Yes.
guys speak for themselves, it's confusing for us to sit here in Colorado and see Keith and Russ come in and sit at a normal table in a conference and walk up to the stage and sit with their normal shirts on and give a PowerPoint presentation that starts with the normal information and ends with it, and says that this industry has hurt legalization, while we're sitting in a state with the price in these stores half the price of the black market, and one of the most progressive legalization campaigns going, one that doesn't even include any nanogram discussion or any hindrances on drivers. So, I mean, it's just tough for us to be in this state and hear some of the rhetoric. But anyway, thanks for that clarification.
Thank you so much. It's true. I mean, that statement alone is extremely helpful. I think as you are well aware that as Warren just pointed out, I mean, one of the things that happens is whomever from your organization is speaking, people are listening as though they're speaking the gospel and the vision of NORML. And I mean, as the board chair, I'm assuming that's challenging for you because you can't have someone just go off and say things in a fashion that don't follow the true vision and meaning of what NORML is really attempting to do.
You bet, and I wish I'd seen that PowerPoint presentation, because there might have been a few changes to it. Although, we want to encourage individuals to express their own opinions as well, and if people feel that way, I guess they've got a right to say it. But you're also right. When they've got a NORML T-shirt on or speaking at an official conference, we ought to have more of an official position. But I think, it's just so foreign to me that anyone would oppose legalization, and I think that's been true of the board as well. Maybe we just I think we underestimated the impact of these statements, and I hope that the statements are in the controversy is confined to a pretty small group of activists. And of course, the activists are the most important people that we want to work with and support. So to the extent that this has riled up and disturbed people and upset people, I'm very sorry it happened, and I'm, as board chair, doing everything I can to stop it.
Well, thanks, Paul. And again, our listeners can find out more about NORML at www.norml.org. And feel free to mention your own work if you need to do so or not. I just don't want to mention it unless you want to bring it up in terms of what you do and how people can get in touch with you professionally.
Oh, yeah, well, as we say at my firm, our motto is I'm an investment advisor. And well, we don't actually say this. I've suggested this, but it'll never get by. That we buy low and sell high.
On so many
I'm an
levels.
investment advisor. But I probably shouldn't be mentioning the firm's name on the,
And
Fair
that's why I
Absolutely.
didn't do it, man. That's why I left it to you. This isn't like talking to Matt Abel.
So Paul, let me close. We only have a couple of minutes, my friend, and I want you to be able to tell us the future of NORML. What is it that you see NORML spending its focus on? What are the things that are important? What are the things that you want our listeners to know about your organization?
Well, thank you, Georgia. We need to do a better job of fundraising so that we have more money to spend on the goals we want to accomplish. And
don't we all?
So is we want legal marijuana, and the reality is that it's going to come, as did the end of alcohol prohibition in a very complex way, probably state by state. So somebody asked me the other day, well, what are you going to do after legalization comes? Is there a role for NORML? Heck yes, because legalization, realistically, we could get it in Colorado and Oregon and Washington State in one form or another this year. I think there's no doubt the Colorado bill, because the individuals out there in Colorado working on this bill were very inclusive, and so they invited discussion, and they have a bill which probably no interest group is totally happy about, but everybody is thrilled it's on the ballot. And there are some problems in Washington State where that did not take place with the DUI provisions, and I'm not really that familiar with Oregon, but here you have 3 states, and they're all quite different, and it's just going to be a battle state by state, and then to some extent probably at the national level. So in one sense, I'm afraid I'll be delighted when legalization comes. In another sense, it's going to be 30 or 40 years before we probably get this fixed in all the states. And then even there'll always be people pushing back. I live in Tennessee, and alcohol prohibition went off the books more than 70 years ago, but we still have dry counties, and we have remnants of laws that just make no sense. They're just stupid. You can't buy wine in a grocery store, and if you go into a wine store, liquor store, you can't buy beer. And if you buy wine, you need a corkscrew, you got to go to another store. So this is 70 years after, so it's going to be a long time. But our goal, very simply, is that marijuana is a benign and safe plant. As you say in Colorado, it's a safer alternative to alcohol and tobacco. And the question we want our society to ask, we want to ask ourselves is, it's not just why are we criminalizing people for taking a safer alternative. We shouldn't just allow them. In a sensible society, we should be encouraging individuals to consider marijuana as a safer alternative to alcohol and tobacco, especially when it comes to things like driving and all the damage that alcohol causes. And I say that as someone who's just about to go off and pour myself a glass of wine. But
I wish I could join you. I like drinking wine with you.
Well, I hope I have a chance to do it. Are you going to come to Los Angeles?
I don't know.
Well, think about it. I'd love to see you there. And Warren. And
thank you. Yeah, I don't know that this is our year, but but I'll let you know. We'd like to see you regardless.
Yeah, the sad thing is, Georgia, there'll be many more years. But the more often I see it in Warren, that'd be great.
Well, Paul, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. We so appreciate it. And sorry for our little Skype glitches. Glad that you were sticking around and we were able to continue and speak with you. Thank you so much. We've been talking to Paul Kuhn from Tennessee, the board chair of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, we are going to pay some bills with our wonderful sponsors, including our friends over at Noto Urban Garden Supply. Noto Urban Garden Supply, located about 4.5 blocks northeast of Coors Field in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, is your urban garden supply center, whether you are a hobby cultivationist or you have a big commercial operation. They can help you with all of your hydroponic needs. They are a wonderful neighborhood store. Remember, our friend Levi comes in on the fourth Monday of every month to do his grow spot. Ask Levi. He's supposed to come in on the fourth Monday. Sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. And usually I talk to him, and I talked to him today, and he's excited to come on the fourth Monday of the month. But visit our friends at Noto Urban Garden Supply. Make sure you tell them also that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. Again, NotoUrbanGardenSupply.com, 1330 27th Street. You're listening to iCannabis Radio with Warren and Georgia, and we'll be right back.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
The clinic is proud to announce the third annual Clinic Charity Classic Golf Tournament benefiting the Colorado MS Society. The tournament will be held at City Park Golf Course this coming August 11th. There will be some incredible prizes, including an opportunity to win a trip for two to Hawaii. The trip includes airfare, 8 days, 7 nights at the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua, including 4 rounds of golf and $1,500 spending cash. Thanks to the incredible support of Weed Maps, Hetty Glass, Rocky Mountain Hydro, T. Meyer & Stitch, Dixie Elixir, and MMJPrinting.com, we're able to provide awareness to this incredibly difficult condition that so many Coloradans are suffering from. The event will be covered extensively by our favorite industry media outlets: Culture Magazine, The Hemp Connoisseur, Kush Magazine, and of course the amazing people at iCannabis Radio. Please register at thecliniccolorado.com or at any of our 6 convenient locations throughout the Denver metro area.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at WarrenEdson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
Hi, I'm Rick Cusick from High Times Magazine, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio.
We want to thank Rick and wish him a happy birthday. Last week was his birthday. Happy birthday, Rick.
Well, and let's send out a teaser to all our listeners between now and July 30th, because potentially on July 30th we will be relocating to a place not very far from where we are now, but we won't mention it because we haven't exactly finalized that yet. But hopefully we will be having a big shindig Monday, July 30th.
At least pencil in shindig July 30th, iCannabis Radio.
At the new studios.
There'll be an event up.
Same general area. If things go well, we should have a brand new green room that will be huge, that you can watch all your favorite iCannabis Radio hosts do their thing.
Who's your favorite iCannabis Radio host? Who is it, honey?
Crunchy.
Crunchy doesn't currently have a show right now.
But he's
my
favorite.
He's technically still in the iCannabis favorite. iCannabis family.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Crunchy's
gosh.
my favorite.
So we'd like to really apologize real
Greg.
quick. Greg, you know what? You're the best.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize.
I can't hear him, man. Wait.
There you go.
There
he said, don't apologize to me. Apologize to Milton Mesro. We'll revisit this next month.
That sounds good.
We got a nice jazz teaser from Greg earlier, and we will be jumping him to the third Monday, right?
That's right. I was glad to hear what Paul had to say in your conversation with him.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Monday, August 20th, tune back in and hear about cannabis and jazz.
Yeah. Mez, the Mez.
The Mez, the mighty Mez.
If you're cool, you know when saying the Mez, you know that you want cannabis.
Okay.
We'll talk more about that next month. But one of the reasons why we're not going to run long tonight is because we need to go to a fundraiser.
Yeah, for two state congressmen, and we're already almost an hour late, but it's Joe McCloskey and Sal Pace. And they're running for Congress here in Colorado, and they are
pro-cannabis
supporters of the medical marijuana industry, and in fact, strong supporters of cannabis. Both worked very hard to defeat the DUID bill that popped up its head over and over and over again last legislative
session. It's like
session.
a whack-a-mole.
It is like a whack-a-mole.
No kidding. And so we have to run off to that so we can at least catch half an hour and hand them some dinero and say thank you so much and show them our support. Please do the same anytime you get a chance to support some of these politicians, because unless we hey, here's the truth. Unless we pay them and tell them we like them, they really don't know it. And then they have no idea to support this cause. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
We definitely want to thank our guests tonight. Greg, as always, we appreciate it, and we will see you next month.
Georgia. Thank you.
Paul Kuhn from the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, thank you so much. And we want to thank our sponsors, Mile High Wellness, Noto Urban Garden Supply, Edson Maton and Mats, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Medical Marijuana 101, and Run on Grass. Don't forget, we got a whole lineup of shows this week. Tomorrow night.
Doubleheader.
You just said it like that. That's exactly what you said.
Whatever.
Wow, doubleheader.
6:30 to 8 o'clock, American Weed. Attorney Rob Corey stops in to help co-host.
Actually, Warren told you all about what's going on American Weed Realm Radio. And then after that is Sex Pot Radio from 8 to 10. Wednesday, you know what Wednesday is, right? Yabba Dabba Doo, iDab Radio from 6 to 8 p.m. Is that right? 6 to 8 p.m.? No, 7. I was going to say 7 to 9. I don't know why I wrote 6 to 8.
6 to 8 East Coast.
Right. You know why? You know what happens? You know what 7:10 is?
Yeah. Is my mic
Wait, no, you're not on.
Yeah. What's
He's too busy petting her.
what's 7:10?
That's oil upside down and backwards, and it's time to take a dab.
That's right. And you know what they do at 7:10?
Take a dab.
Okay.
They first go yabba dabba doo.
Tune in to see, I guess,
It's
or
really
check out on our website their old
It's
shows.
very ritualistic.
I do like that.
Well, it's the new 420.
Investigate this counterculture sometime.
That
Greg,
might be
you can
interesting
write the
for you.
first article on 720 or
Actually,
whatever.
and 7:10 you should. You should.
7:10,
Thursday, of course, is Overgrow the Radio, also from 7 to 9. Adam Scorgi, director of the Union, will be on. as well as they're going to have a new grow spot from the guys from We Grow Colorado.
When's Crunchy on?
Doesn't have a show. We'll have Crunchy on. We'll just have Crunchy on. Next week on our Monday show with Warren in Georgia, we're going to have our friends from Can Labs, Jennifer Murray and Chris Stubbs will be on. And then after that, on Monday the 30th, there's 5 Mondays in July.
We could mess with Levi.
We're going to, right? That wouldn't be hard.
Dude.
We're going to have a special show with Moms and Dads for Marijuana. So all of you parents out there, please tune in, come down, be in the chat room. We want to talk to as many moms and dads who support marijuana legalization as possible. Raise your hand if you're a parent in this room who supports marijuana legalization. Okay.
I support parents who support marijuana legalization.
Much appreciated, Greg. Thank you. Well, you've been listening to iCannabis Radio.
Raise your hand if you're a dog owner who supports marijuana legalization. At least we got one more. We got a quorum.
A dog owner.
Oh, sorry, Greg.
Thank you so much for listening to us tonight, and we will see you without any Skype problems next week. Bye-bye.
Sure.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.